Official prediction. It's been a while. It's been a little while since I've been on TFB Stocks, but UFC 287 is one of those cards that I can't miss talk about. Honestly, if it was up to me, I would have probably spent $3,000 and went by myself, watched this event because it's probably the best event that I can remember of. You know what I mean? This whole main card, it's like there's no fillers. There's no filler fights in there. It's nothing but bangers, and I'm very excited to jump right into the prediction videos and tell you guys what I have to say. So obviously, even in the prelims, there's some cool fights. Chris Curtis, Kelvin Gastelum, Gerald Mearshaw, who's fighting. Obviously, we all know him because he got booted up by Hamza Chimaev, but he actually won some few fights after that. And it's funny, Kelvin Gastelum was on, I think it was in the Embedded or something. Him and Adesanya crossed path, and Adesanya didn't even know Gastelum was fighting, and I didn't either. Like, to be honest, I didn't know Gastelum was fighting on this card. And Chris Curtis is a great that's a great matchup for him. So I'm very hyped to see that fight. But we're gonna jump right into the main card because it's already filled up as it is. Raul Rosas Jr versus Christian Rodriguez. So I didn't know much about Christian Rodriguez. I went and watched his last fights. I also saw this morning the official weigh-in was this morning. It's a great thing that I wait until now. It's obviously because I'm a lazy piece of shit, but it's also if I wait until after the weigh-in, I can have like a better in-depth prediction videos because there's all the factors in there and stuff. There's pretty much nothing else to know about each fights now, you know what I mean? So Christian Rodriguez, in fact, missed weight this morning. I think it was by 2 or 3 pounds or something, like 2.5 pounds or 1.5 pounds, something like that. And I don't know if he actually made it. He looked very dry on the scale. We didn't have any updates on if he actually made it. So it's a big tell. And I don't know if he's able to deal with the pressure the way Raul Rosas Jr. has dealt with the pressure since he's gotten to the UFC. It's something to be, the youngest fighter in the UFC and stuff, but be put in these positions like Raul has and main card and basically a lot of hype and a lot of promotion behind his name. He's remained super calm, and that's something very difficult for a young man, especially fucking 17, 18 years old. It's something different. So just the way Raul Rosas Jr. has been carrying himself over the last 2 fights, the fight weeks and stuff, the things that we've seen from him, he just looks very, very calm. So I have to pick him also because, number one, obviously I saw Christian Rodriguez last fight, but we don't know much about him. And as we know, the UFC is usually very good at, when they want to promote a fight, they'll pick some favorable matchup for these dudes. So even though I don't know Christian Rodriguez much, I'm pretty sure the UFC, we're very careful to pick a guy that Raul could beat. And I believe in the Raul Rosas Jr. hype. I really do. I'm on the hype train completely and totally. I think he's super young, but I think he's super mature as well. He doesn't seem to be like indulging in this famous hype train machine that he's built for himself. He's looking to stay focused. So you have to tip your hat off to someone like that. But does anybody know, like, is the way he talks is just like something about him, or is this like a condition? Because if he fights with a condition, like I don't know if he's like I don't know how to say this, but like slow or something, because it's not, I don't think he's slow like mentally, but there's obviously a connection missing, right? If he fights with that, I feel like that's an even greater feat to him. You know what I mean? Not only is he 17, but he has a physical condition and he's able to fight through it. That's even cooler. Like, I know a lot of people make fun of him, and it is a funny condition, right? And I'm sure at this point, it's like it doesn't even matter. He's a fighter now, so whatever the fuck we say, he could still beat us up. So it doesn't really matter. But I feel like it adds to the feat. I feel like it just adds to the hype of him. So I feel like he should talk about it. I don't know if he ever did because I have no clue. We've just seen him and it's like a bit weird, but he never really talked about it. So if anybody has any clue about, his condition and stuff, put it down below because I'm actually very curious about it. But with that being said, like I said, I'm going with Raul Rosas, Raul. I don't know how to say his name. If I should say it like super Hispanic wise, or I should say it just like American. Raul Rosas Jr. or Raul Rosas Jr. One of the two. I'm picking him by submission. I'll pick submission in the second round. I think he got it in the bag. Kevin Holland versus Santiago Ponzinibbio. A very great matchup. Again, like, these matchups are just beautiful. Santiago Ponzinibbio, in his last fight, he fought against Alex Morono, and for the majority of that fight, he got beat up. He was getting whooped by Alex Morono, and Morono took that fight on short notice too. So it's not a good look. He actually got a beautiful finish at the end, right? He possesses good power. So Holland needs to be careful. But I think Holland in this position should be able to win this. He's younger. He's a bit faster. I think he's a bit crispier striker. And he also possesses power. But at welterweight, funny enough, we hadn't seen him like, with these crazy Buckley knockout or Jacare Sosa knockout that he used to have at 185 pounds. So I don't know if the fact that he dropped down to 170 might have fucked up his power a bit, you know what I mean? Because obviously he's had this fight against Alex Oliveira. He had this knockout, TKO or something like that, but it was mostly like an off-balance shot, and then he ground and pound him. It wasn't like this clear knockout the way he used to. And against Tim Means, it was a submission, and then Khamzat Chimaev didn't throw a punch, didn't land a punch, I should say. And then Wonder Boy as well, it just didn't seem like he had the same effect with the punches. Obviously, we were told he broke his hands or something, but this is going to be an interesting fight, honestly, because any guy could finish. Santiago Ponzinibbio has that power that he can finish Holland. If he lands a clean shot, it's not one of those fights that, even like Wonder Boy, Wonder Boy is very, very technical striker, but he doesn't possess that power where it's just like you're waiting for that one shot to maybe land. It was just a complete destruction over the course of a few rounds, right? So with that being said, I think Holland should be able to control the pace of this fight. He should land more shots, and I think he should be able to find a TKO if he's being smart, but he needs to be careful. He needs to be focused the entire time. And we've seen Holland in fights that he should be able to win, just not be focused, not concentrated enough. And we've seen the Masvidal altercation this week. Every fight, maybe that's just who he is, right? But he seems to have like some distractions outside of the fights, and he has this obviously this ego that isn't a bad thing for a fighter, right? You want to have an ego and just live up to it, but you have to also be smart in there, right? Whenever he was fighting Wonder Boy, and it was like in his head, he was like, I'm not taking him down. I'm like, I don't know, maybe at some point it would have been smart too. But I think if Holland just gets back to fighting smart, being offensive, pushing the pace, pushing the rhythm of this fight, he should get a W. So I'm going to go with Kevin Holland by TKO. What did I pick? I picked TKO. I didn't pick a round. I should go... This is tough. I'm going to go second round TKO Kevin Holland. Move on. Rob Font versus Adrian Yanez. Oh, my God. Such a beautiful fight, man. Such a beautiful, underrated banger. This is fight of the year candidate, in my opinion. Both of these dudes are super similar. And whenever we have those great fights of the year, it's when two guys with similar styles clash, right? It's usually the best fights that we can ever have. And it's funny, Rob Font and Adrian Yanez are almost the same fighters, right? Two Hispanic dudes from America who's mostly striking, mostly boxing, and maybe obviously an age difference, but it seems like it's just the newer generation coming up. And we've seen also Adrian Yanez with Masvidal. I did a passing of the torch on the main channel back then. It was Adrian Yanez to Jorge Masvidal. I think these two are very similar, but in the 135-pound division, Rob Font is the most similar fighter, the closest fighter to Adrian Yanez in terms of matchup, skills, tail of the tape, and stuff like that. What they use to their advantage. Two extremely skilled striker. But at the end of the day, I think Adrian Yanez just possesses a bit more power. He's a bit more technical in his striking as well. Rob Font probably has the speed advantage, to be honest. And in every of his last fight, even the fights that he lost against Marlon Vera and against Jose Aldo, he was outworking both of them, right? He was landing more shots, throwing more shots. And Adrian Yanez needs to be careful with that because he's a slow starter. And we saw it in his last fight against Tony where He waited, right? He's very calculated, which is a good thing. He reminds me a bit of Piotr Jan, where he gets the data and stuff like that. But if you do it too much, where you don't show Rob Font anything back to scare him back off a little bit, Rob Font might just throw nonstop for the first 2-3 minutes and overwhelm Adrian Yanez. So Yanez has to be careful with that. But I think he knows about it. I saw some interviews this morning at the official weigh-in, and he actually talks about that. So if he's aware of it, I think Yanez should get the W, but it's going to be a beautiful fight. Whenever, Rob Font has a great long jab, he throws the jab very long, and Adrian Yanez is very good at slipping and throwing to the body. So we're probably going to see a lot of it, and what makes the difference is also durability between the two, right? We haven't really seen Yanez get hurt or stumble, or he has a great chin as well, whereas Rob Font, it didn't seem the same. Even though he went to a decision against Vera and he went to a decision against Aldo, he just seemed to be hurt or he seemed to be in more compromising situation more often. It's a weird thing. It's not like he has a bad chin, because he just gets dropped and gets back up, and he doesn't give up, but he gets dropped often and he gets hurt often. So yeah, it's either going to be a decision for Yanez, in my opinion, or a TKO third round. And I'm going to go with TKO third round, Yanez. Move on. Gilbert Burns versus Jorge Masvidal. Oh, man. You guys know. You know what's funny, bro? Listen, I'm going to make another video about this, but some people really think I don't like Masvidal because I drop a downfall. Masvidal's my favorite fighter. You guys don't understand this business shit when it comes to YouTube. I post videos that make sense and that I know people want to watch and stuff like that, but the title and the storylines and stuff like that doesn't really matter, to be honest. I just post videos that I think people want to watch with hot topics and stuff like that, but Masvidal's my favorite fighter in the whole entire roster. Anyways, I'm gonna cut it short because I'll make another video about that. But yeah, just to let you guys know, man, don't take these titles seriously. They're just not that serious. Anyways, Masvidal versus Gilbert Burns. That's an amazing fight, and I've said before, I'm a big Masvidal fan. If you look at the top 10 fighters in the welterweight division, let me just go take a look real quick. Leon Edwards, Kamaru Usman, Colby Covington, Khamzat Chimaev, Bilal Muhammad, Gilbert Burns, Shavkat Rakhmonov, Stephen Thompson, Jeff Neal, Sean Brady, Vicente Luque. You look at the top 10, those are all guys that are ahead of Masvidal in the ranking. Gilbert Burns is the most winnable fights for Masvidal. That's a good fight for him. I don't know why it took so long to be made, right? I heard Masvidal had some issues and he wanted to be 100% prepared, but I think he couldn't let that fight go because this is the perfect fight. Burns is such a high level name at 170 pounds, and it's also a very, very likely winnable fight, the most winnable fight for him. I looked at a lot of these stuffs, and obviously I'm saying this, and I've said this before, Masvidal's my favorite fighter, so I'm extremely biased. I'm going to pick Masvidal. But I pick Masvidal not just because he's my favorite fighter, mostly yes because he's my favorite fighter, but mostly also because I think he has a chance to win. He actually has a chance to win. I wouldn't just say this if I'm just being dummy, right? Against Usman and against Colby, it's I probably pick, I don't even know if I made a prediction. I probably didn't, but in my head, I probably wanted Masvidal to win, but deep down in my heart, I knew he wasn't going to win these fights, right? But against someone like Burns, I went as far as to think I might just put some money on Masvidal because obviously the odds are very much in favor of Gilbert Burns, and I think Masvidal is not far away from getting a W in this fight. So I'm gonna explain why. Obviously, Masvidal has fought Usman twice and Colby in his last 3 fights. Those are very high-level wrestlers. And I think, obviously, Masvidal has prioritized in the past 3 years his takedown defense and stuff like that. And obviously, he's getting old. So that's a factor. He's 38 years old. You can't take that away from him. And that can just decline at any time, right? But if you look at the style of fighters that he's fought over the last 3 years, it's mostly been wrestlers. So if he did what he was supposed to do, which was, work on his takedown defense, and obviously against Gilbert Burns, Burns will try to shoot as well. He'll try to get this fight to the ground as well. He'll try to grapple. And if Masvidal did his due diligence, he should be able to he should be able to get free from a guy like Gilbert Burns, who's not an overly high-level wrestler the way these Colby Covington and Kamaru Usmans are, right? He's more of a jiu-jitsu grappling specialist. He looks for submission more than anything, but he doesn't really shoot for takedown as much. I saw some stats. Gilbert Burns shoots 2 takedowns per 15 minutes. Like, he's not the same pressure style as a Colby. And Jorge Masvidal has faced high-level jiu-jitsu fighters in the past, like fighters like Damian Maia. If you could look at that fight, Masvidal was incredible at defending any types of attack on the ground by a jiu-jitsu specialist like Damian Maia, who's, in my opinion, more credentialed jiu-jitsu fighter, grappler than Gilbert Burns is. And Maia has even talked about after that fight, the fact that Masvidal was probably the best jiu-jitsu fighter, the best grappler he's fought in the UFC. So all of that to say, obviously this was 5 years ago or something like that, so it's maybe not the same, but I think Masvidal has some chance to really keep that fight standing. I think this fight will mostly be stand up, and on the feet, Masvidal has some crisp hands, man. He's fast, and he got this pop, especially at the earlier rounds. I think as long as he's able to stay off the fence and not get taken down too early on in the fights, because the thing with Masvidal is he got that pop in the first few minutes, but if he gets taken down and he gets like his arms full of blood, his muscle full of blood, like then he loses the pop, right? You saw it when he fought Covington. He even was able to drop him in the 4th round, but really couldn't do anything after because he was too tired. So it's a matter of timing. I think Masvidal needs to be aggressive in the first rounds. I truly believe in my heart that he should be able to take this. He should be able to take this. Obviously, a big part of this is also my bias towards it, but from what I've seen from both guys, I think this is a favorable matchup for Masvidal. So I'm going with Jorge Gamebred Masvidal, and I'm going to go by TKO in the 1st round, man. Resurrection Part 2 happening. Let's get it going. He's fighting for the title next. All right, main event. Alex Pereira versus Israel Adesanya. Blue shorts for Israel Adesanya. No longer the champion. Unfortunately, this is going to be the same story. I saw an interview this morning at the official weigh-in. Once again, I'm such a smart ass for waiting until after the official weigh-in to do this prediction video because there's so much information. Not really, but whatever. In the interview, he talked about... He answered each questions very short. And I think it was DC or Chris Weidman who asked him, like, why are you replying with short answers? Like, why are you being so, cold with your answers? And he said, short answers, short fight. Which means Israel Adesanya will be extremely aggressive in the earlier rounds. I think he wants to push the pressure. He wants to push the pace. He said, I think, around 1,065,000 times, the hunter now becomes the hunted. No, the hunted now becomes the hunter. He said some very corny lines. I'm not gonna lie. Over the course of this, the fight week, it's also the things he said just makes it look like he's trying to be very aggressive. He's trying to bully Alex Pereira, and I think that will backfire on Adesanya. In my heart, I'm being serious right now. In my heart, I want Adesanya to win. Truly. But the mentality and the things he said is playing against him. Being aggressive, trying to bully Alex Pereira is not smart. He's not stronger. He's not more powerful than Pereira. And I think Pereira in brawling situation is much better than someone like Adesanya. I think technically is where Adesanya can win this fight. He needs to stick to the kickboxing, leg kicking, jabbing game plan and shoot in a few takedowns here and there, try to keep him on the ground. I think that should be the game plan, right? When you have him hurt, yeah, you need to push the pace. But having that, mentality like, I'm going to just be aggressive and try to knock him out in the first rounder, I don't know if that's smart because Pereira is a different level. That's just a different level of power. And you saw it at the press conference yesterday when they faced off. Pereira went like this. He went like this in front of Adesanya's face, and his fist was almost as big as Adesanya's face. There's something to be told about the height, the fucking the strength, the brute force that Pereira possesses, and also just his build. It seems different. And when you rewatch that fight, that first MMA fight at UFC 281, Adesanya would try to throw some heavy stuff, but Pereira was long. Just, I feel everything he would block, and it would almost hurt Adesanya to throw these hard shots and to really try to dig deep into some shots. Adesanya's game plan should be take it easy, stay off the fence, move around laterally, leg kick, jab. And then once you have him tired, you can throw the right hands, you can throw some hooks behind it. But I don't think the game plan should be the aggressive bully style at the beginning. And because I just think that will backfire. And from all the interviews that we've seen from Fight Week, I think that is Adesanya's game plan. And that's why I think I'm picking Alex Pereira by vicious. No, I'm not. I shouldn't say the word vicious because we just never know. But I'm going to go Pereira by KO in the first round. In the first, I'm going to say first round, but it could be first, second round. I think Adesanya is out of character. We won't see him the same way we saw these other fights. I think it's going to be a different Adesanya. And it's unfortunately going to backfire. You shouldn't listen to all these outsiders saying your fights are boring. It's whatever. Adesanya has been dominating. And when he was dominating, I was the first one to advocate for, yo, bro, keep jabbing, keep leg kicking. If you can do that for 5 rounds, just know that shit is difficult. And he deserves the praise for doing it. And I think Adesanya should stick to that game plan. That's what makes him win all those fights. And that's what will make him win that fight again if he does it, right? I think it's not going to be that Adesanya that shows up. So unfortunately, I'm going to go with Pereira by KO in the first round. Yes, this is my predictions. Alex Pereira, Jorge Masvidal, Adrian Yanez, Kevin Holland, and Raul Rosas Jr. I think this is going to be probably one of the best card of the year. I'm calling it now. UFC 281. I made a video after UFC 281, and I said this was probably one of the greatest events of all time, UFC 281. I think Adesanya's cards are always built up, and I don't think it's just about Adesanya, right? Adesanya is a big name, and he brings a lot of hypes, and that rivalry between Alex Pereira is great. But if you look at this main card in particular, there's no other card this year or even last year that was filled up like this. It's just incredible. And UFC 281 was filled up with Poirier Chandler. Obviously, Weili Zhang versus Carlos Esparza was pretty decent, but there was a lot of great fights as well on the undercard, but not this level. Not this level of skills and hype between each fight. It's absolutely beautiful, and I can't wait for this fight. Let me know your predictions down below. And yeah, I'll catch you guys soon. Peace out, bro.